So I now have the difficult task of introducing Michel Moawad, founder and executive director of the Renee Moawad Foundation. Difficult because no words will do you justice, my dear. So where do I start? Michel's father, Renee Moawad, was assassinated weeks after he was elected president of Lebanon. His mother, Naila Moawad, became an effective member of parliament and a philanthropist advocating for children and women's rights. The only son, Michel, carried the political and philanthropic legacy of his parents, taking it to great heights. He's a member of the Lebanese parliament and the founder of the independence political movement. His mom's activism and civic passion is rooted in him and gave birth to the Renee Moawad Foundation. He is its founder and executive director. In addition to the numerous hats he wears, aligning his political and civic efforts to transcend regional, confessional, and political boundaries to promote social, economic, and rural development in Lebanon. Friends, the Renee Moawad Foundation today is the most prominent Lebanese NGO in agriculture, social, and economic development, encompassing education. No, Nadia, yes? It's okay. All okay. Education, healthcare, building individual and institutional capacities, advocating a society built on democratic values, social justice, but above all, a national unity. True, no words do him justice. Please help me welcome our friend, your friend, Michel Moawad, but don't come on stage just yet because Nadia wants to show a video that we should have showed before all of this. Video, please.
According to the Human Rights Watch report, which describes the worsening situation in Lebanon, more than 80% of Lebanon's population are without access to basic rights like education, health, and a basic standard of living in terms of housing and electricity. Yet with the generous support of donors and partners from all over the world and the Lebanese diaspora, the true voice of Lebanon, the Renee Moawad Foundation managed since 1991 to undertake countless initiatives and develop numerous programs all over Lebanon in order to empower human beings and build their capabilities while preserving their dignity. The human being in Lebanon is at the core of Renee Moawad Foundation's mission. Its vision is to achieve human, local, and community development, as well as sustainable economic development. A holistic humanitarian response, especially during the crisis and emergencies, is one of RMF's top priorities. Children in Lebanon are exposed to child labor, child marriage, and other forms of violence. RMF is focusing on ensuring the well-being of children and youth through educational activities and projects, in addition to protecting them from any sort of abuse or neglect.
كنت اجي على المركز الصراحه لما كنت اجي احس حالي كثير مبسوطه ومتحمسه لاجي، صرت اعرف انه انا لازم كمل ولازم احقق طموحي ولازم انا ابني مستقبلي بايدي، من حقي ادرس، من حقي اشتغل، من حقي ابني مستقبلي.
RMF has implemented a variety of livelihood and economic growth activities to increase job opportunities, enhance market access for startups and SMEs, promote initiatives, entrepreneurship, and introduce circular economy approaches to ensure sustainability.
مؤسسة رينيه معوض هن فتحوا لنا مجال انه نعمل دورة لرعاية المسن خلتنا نتعرف على ناس جديدة، نرجع نفوت على المجتمع ننخرط فيه. خولوني إنه أنا أرجع فوت على مجال العمل.
بعد الانفجار كان بحاجة لمساعدة، والمساعدة اللي لقيتها من مؤسسة RMF. رجعت وقفت على إجريي، أثبتت من خلال مساعدتهم أنه ما في شيء رح يوقفنا، واللبناني هيك معود كل ما ينكسر برجع بيقوم أقوى.
بعد الأزمة اللي صايرة عنا بفرجي العالم إنه نحن بعدنا موجودين وعم نشتغل والطاقة ذاتها، وهيك دا يضل الحماس موجود، وفرجيهم إنه في حماس بيضل داخلنا وبيعطي هاللوحات وبيعطي هالفن هيدا.
The Renee Moawad Foundation has always believed in the strategic role that the agriculture and food processing sectors play in the economic development of Lebanon. It is one of the first NGOs to work in the sector and one of the first to adopt a holistic method that touches all points of the value chain.
من أهم عمليات اللي بيقوم فيها المزارع هي موضوع إنه يسوق بضاعته ويسوقها بأسعار تكون مقبولة، ونقدر نخلق أسواق لهي البضاعة. السنة الماضية كان عندنا الحظ إنه نلتقى بأشخاص من مؤسسة رينيه معوض، قالوا إنه هن قادرين إنه يساعدونا بعملية التسويق. عملنا نوع مقابلة مع شركة اسمها TFC، وقدرنا عملنا تجربة معهم ب3 كونتينرات، وكانت التجربة جيدة اللي خلتنا بعدين ننتقل لأنه نعمل نحن هون عقد بالنسبة للسنة هاي، إنه يقدروا يسوقوا من 300 ل 500 طن من بضاعتنا بالعالم.
The Renee Moawad Foundation also believes that empowering unions of municipalities and municipalities, public institutions, and improving their governance are imperative to achieving effective decentralization, which is the sole means to improve citizens' lives within a transparent framework that allows accountability.
قبل الطاقة اللي تركبت عنا كنا نستعمل موتيرات المازوت، ما حدا وقفنا على اجرينا الا الطاقة الشمسية اللي خلصنا من قصة المازوت. أنا بدي أشكر USAID مع مؤسسة رينيه معوض اللي هن نفذوا لنا هذا الموضوع، لأنه خلونا نشرب، والمي حياة.
RMF used the health and social safety net as a key component of its overall goal, which is to protect the underprivileged and provide them with the assistance they need to prosper. In the midst of a worsening economic crisis, a financial meltdown, political and social instability, the Renee Moawad Foundation is always keen on working towards mitigating the effects of any emergency through short-term, mid-term, and long-term strategies.
Friends, with political paralysis in Lebanon, the Renee Moawad was our trusted partner and is today's USAID only trusted partner on the ground. Please welcome His Excellency Michel Moawad.
Ladies and gentlemen, dear friends and partners of the Renee Moawad Foundation, while we are gathering tonight, maybe some of you don't know yet that Beirut's airport has been closed, and today we might be living one additional step towards the enlarging of the war in Lebanon and in the region. We might be experiencing, starting by tonight, the expansion of a war that has already killed too many children, women, and civilians in Gaza. We might be experiencing the extension of a war that the Lebanese do not want, and that the Lebanese did not decide, because it's only through their legitimate constitutional institutions that the Lebanese decide. Yet, this war has already had an immense cost on Lebanon. More than 400 lives, more than $2 billion in direct cost till now, and more than 100,000 people that has been displaced. $2 billion, while you know that we are working and battling to give back depositors their money, or citizens their rights to health and education. I think that those $2 billion would have been much more if they were given to those people and not to more destruction. Unfortunately, what we are living what you have been living in the last weeks and months is not the only tragedy that has hit Lebanon in the past years. You have all followed what is happening. A financial collapse that has left more than $92 billion of deposits that people cannot get to. An economic collapse with Lebanon's GDP that has passed from $54 billion in 2018 to less than $20 billion today. All that hitting the most vulnerable and the middle class that has made historically Lebanon. The Beirut blast, the biggest explosion or the biggest non-nuclear explosion in the history of humanity. And the collapse of state institutions and services. The state budget in Lebanon has passed from $18 billion in 2018 to $700 million in 2021 and back to $3 billion today. $700 million, just for you to remember, that the Ministry of Health in Lebanon had a budget of $25 million, almost the budget of the Moawad Foundation. This is where Lebanon has been, or this is what Lebanon has been passing through. Yet, amidst that very dark picture, I want to start by telling you thank you. Thank you, you the diaspora, who throughout those dramatic events have been the only lifeline and the only glitter of hope that Lebanon has had. Without you, Lebanon would not have only been impoverished, we would have been in famine. And those are not only words. Again, back to figures that are more telling than words. We have been talking of a GDP that is less of $20 billion. The diaspora remittances to Lebanon, to your families, to your cousins, to your friends, to your villages, have consistently been of above $7 billion. And what we call tourism in Lebanon in terms of figures, and which fundamentally is diaspora tourism, has brought to Lebanon more than $6 billion. 7 plus 6 plus another 1 at least from the cash that you are bringing with you that has not been accounted in that is $14 to $15 billion out of the $20 billion. That's the importance of the diaspora. And without you, nothing would have been left. We would have been in famine, and we would have been in total collapse. So in the name of all the Lebanese living, still struggling in Lebanon, again, thank you. Dear friends, I know very well that even together, we cannot replace a state, and we cannot replace a working economy. And that's a battle that we are doing together, a battle for the sovereignty of our country, a battle against corruption, a battle for human dignity. But yes, together we have made a difference. We have made a difference to help the Lebanese to be the only lifeline, to choose to light a candle when everything was dark, and not to curse the darkness. And if I had to say or to describe what we have been doing as RMF in a sentence, I would say that we are proud that we have built a transparent and professional institution that works all over Lebanon, that has broken the boundaries of regions, of confessions, of political affiliations, and through which you, the diaspora, as well as our trusted institutional partners, USAID, the UN, the World Bank, the EU, the German GIZ, the French AFD, the German GIZ, and other international institutions, through our foundation, you can better support Lebanon and the Lebanese people. Today, the foundation has a family of 300 full-timers, plus all the volunteers that are working all over Lebanon, from Akkar in the north to Nabatieh in the south, even under the bombs, from Beirut on the west to Arsal on the border with Syria. Through our projects, we have been serving in 2023 around 200,000 direct beneficiaries, with one motto: is improving the lives and the livelihoods of the Lebanese people. In everything we do, the human being is at the center of our work through three different pillars. First and foremost is to build the capacities of the Lebanese people. The Lebanese people have never been beggars, and we do not want them to be transformed into beggars. What the Lebanese need is for us to create for them an environment in which they can produce. And you are the living example that when given a chance, the Lebanese people succeed. They have succeeded all over the world, in Australia, in Asia, in the Middle East, in Africa, in Europe, and of course in the United States, and in South America, when given that chance. Each one of you is the example of the Lebanese success. We need to work together so that the Lebanese have the right to succeed in Lebanon, just as they succeeded all over the world. And for that, we have worked through sustainable initiatives, like education. And yes, we will work together with Teach for Lebanon, because education, non-formal technical education, especially in difficult neighborhoods, is not only giving these kids a chance to change their lives, but it's also combating child labor, extremism, intolerance, all these that are the example contrary to what Lebanon is or should be. We have been working in livelihood activities throughout Lebanon, sustainable livelihood, reinforcing local economies, and reinforcing sustainable work. I'm going to give one example. The work we have done in the fishermen port of Jounieh. Those fishermen, 250 families, had no social security or social protection at all. The day they do not go for fishing, they have no income. We have helped them revamp their port. We have helped them do their nets, and we have built for them a kitchen, an industrial kitchen, that helped their wives do the catering. That industrial kitchen that has been a real success has not only created around 25 jobs, but has had a systematic income of more than $100,000 per year that has enabled those families to get social protection. That's what I call sustainability. You have seen that we have been working in agriculture, and we have implemented our program through what we call the comprehensive approach from the market to the farmers. The logic of it is, instead of saying this is what we produce, let's see how we can sell what we produce, even if what we produce is not sellable in terms of quality, we have done a reverse engineering. We have said, what are the new markets, and how can we produce what is sellable in these markets? And today, I'm proud to say that what RMF has done is market studies, and we have opened a new market in Europe. Market studies, market linkages. We have invested with the private and public sector to create what was missing between the farmer and the new markets. And of course, we have invested with the farmers to help them produce with the quality and specifications that are needed. In 5 or 6 years of that comprehensive approach, we have multiplied by 5 the exports of agriculture to the European markets. For the first time, we have sold Lebanese avocados, cherries, grapes, and potatoes to the European markets. And now we have started again with our Dutch partners to also sell the Lebanese apples. And that has created around 10,000 jobs, and we have worked directly with more than 4,000 farmers. The second big pillar, so the first is sustainability. The second is infrastructure. Because to create the environment for the Lebanese people to stay on their land, to be able to produce in their regions, at a time where the state services have completely disappeared, we needed to work on infrastructure, essentially on electricity, and on electricity not only for the villages themselves or the houses, but also for the wells. And that was essential for sanitation and for reducing the cost of living of these people. Because as you know, in rural areas, very often, very poor people have small plots of lands near their houses. And without water, they cannot plant what they need to eat, not to sell, but to eat. And that becomes for them unbearable. We have worked today out of, just to give you figures, we have 1,400 villages all over Lebanon. We have made infrastructure projects in around 300 of those 1,400, so 20% of the villages of Lebanon. And we have done solar energy for water, sanitation, and electricity in around 80 of these villages. The third pillar, and the last one, is of course supporting the most vulnerable. Yes, we do not want the Lebanese to be beggars, but we need to support those who are vulnerable, like in all the countries in this world. And this is what we are fundraising for tonight. This is where we need your help. Last year, through your help, we have launched our Medchronic program. The logic of that program is to leverage our health infrastructure that is built around a primary care center with 20 doctors, 5 nurses, with a medical laboratory, with a dental clinic, with 3 mobile clinics that are covering 109 villages in northern Lebanon, from Akkar to Batroun. We have leveraged this existing infrastructure at a time where the state, you have more than 1.5 million Lebanese that have no protection whatsoever in terms of health, enabled to work to bring to 3,127 families monthly medication and monthly, of course, medical checkups. So that makes 40,000, again, supported by you, 40,000 services over the year. That program has cost $750,000 over that year, which is $20 per patient per month, the price of 2 Big Macs. This Medchronic program, and I want to insist, and you're going to see a film on it, has a multiplying effect for the patients. Because unlike us, these patients in the villages, first of all, do not have access to generic medication. So practically, they go and buy the, between brackets, branded medicines that are very often at 2 or 3 times the cost. And 2, we are providing the service through our mobile clinics to their homes and cutting also their cost of transportation to the closest pharmacies that are sometimes very far from their villages. So we thought that in the basket of each Lebanese, where there is health, food, education when they can afford it, and less, unfortunately, tapping on the health sector where we can have a bigger multiplying effect is more efficient than anything else at this moment. And we are going to work on, and actually not going to work, we are working and we are going to do our first pilot project, I hope in June, to go to another level in our Medchronic program, which is working with the big NGOs in the US for them to send us what ATFL has already done actually during the period, but doing it in a sustainable way, where they send containers of medicine and medical disposables to Lebanon. We would pay the transport and some fees depending on which NGO. We would give these to the hospitals all over the country, but with an MOU on which every dollar we donate the hospital, he would need to give back 50 cents to bill patients that go to hospital and do not have the means to pay their hospitalization. This would be our next level, and I hope that by next year we will be coming with a proven record of that new level of health sector that could make a real difference within Lebanese lives. To finish, I would like to say that tonight we are on the 13th of April, and that is a sad commemoration of the beginning of the war in Lebanon in 1975. But when they suggested, the RMF board has suggested that date to me, I did not say no, because I consider that that is what RMF is all about, transforming assassination and bloodshed into sustainable development, into capacity building, and into protecting the most vulnerable. A big, big thank you to the RMF board in the US, to our chairman, Dr. George Abra, to all our board, and of course to our executive director, Nadia. And the biggest thank you to our shining star in Miami, thanks to which we are all gathered tonight, Rima Otrachi. And the biggest thank you, actually, to each one of you, to our friends, to our supporters. I am sure that together we can make a difference. And despite the difficult times, where we need you more than ever, because I need to tell you that unfortunately, the institutional support to Lebanon, I'm talking about the international institutional support through all those organizations that I have told you about, have gone down from 2020 till today by 50%. So we need you more than ever. And I am sure that despite the dark days, and we still might have dark days in front of us, we will prevail. Our Lebanon will prevail. A Lebanon that is the beacon of moderation, diversity, democracy, human rights, and dignity. And our cedar is much, much stronger than whatever attacks there is against it. Thank you.